My name is Lee, and I thought that today I would tell you a fairy tale. I'm a huge fairy tale fan. I love them. I read a lot of them. I'm going to tell you one of my favorites, which is Princess Mayblossom. You probably never heard of Princess Mayblossom because it's old. It was originally written by Madame d'Alloy, and it was collected in the Red Fairy book by Andrew Lang. The Princess Mayblossom, retold by me. Read it heartily. I'm Lee. The story starts off with this king and the queen of this beautiful country, and they've had many children, but all of them have died, except for one, Princess Mayblossom. And they're like, we have to find the best nanny all the land, so we can not have this one die. So they're having this huge party, basically, of having all these nannies come and interviewing. This one nanny comes and they're like, you are way too ugly to have our baby because you ugly. Unfortunately, the nanny turns out to be a fairy. And the fairy is like, how dare you? I am going to curse you all. Blah, 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 blah. And the king is like, honey, I totally put sulfur in that fairy's porridge when I was a kid and she hates me and my guts. And the queen's like, curses, I should have befriended her because then she wouldn't hate our guts. The king and queen gather all of their advisors, and the advisors like, you know what we need to do? We're going to host a party of all the fairies except for the one we've insulted and have them bless the baby so that way it will null the curses that the other fairy did. So they host this huge party. Of course, the evil nanny fairy finds out and is like, how dare you not invite me to this party? And so, of course, she curses the baby. You might be thinking this is Sleeping Beauty. It's not. I say that she shall be the unluckiest of the unlucky until she is 20 years old. Everyone's like, oh no, this is the worst thing ever. The blue fairy, or whatever, the purple fairy, the last fairy, shows up and is like, actually, I didn't get to give her my blessing. I will bless her to be happy despite being unlucky. So the parents, the king and queen, of course decide that the only solution to having an unlucky kid for 20 years is to lock her up in a tower where she can do herself no harm. And she can't see anyone except for her nursemaid people because they obviously hired some people. And Mayblossom grows and grows and grows, and of course she's very pretty or whatever. The king and queen make this portrait of the princess, and they send it around all the kingdoms and are like, hey, she's almost 20, she's almost cured. It's like 4 days till her birthday. Anyone want to marry her? She's gonna be fine after she's 20. It's not like we locked her in a tower and she's gonna have all these social problems and maybe some weird feelings about her parents because they've locked her in a tower for 20 years. So they send this one, and King Merlin, actual in the story, is like, yeah, I want to marry this princess. I'm Merlin. King Merlin's like, I'm going to send an ambassador, and we'll see. Okay, ambassador, gonna go see the princess, make sure she is as pretty as they say. The princess hears about this ambassador coming, and she's like, I want to see the procession. I want to be able to. I am so lonely and tired of being stuck in this tower, and I want to see what's happening. I want to see these people come. And so she like looks out this peephole in her tower, and she sees this procession coming, and she sees the ambassador, whose name, I kid you not, is Fanfaronade. That's his name. It's a mouthful. And she sees him. He's gorgeous. I love him. I'm going to marry that man. And all of her nursemaid people are like, no, you're going to marry King Merlin because he's a king. Equality of your rank, and this dude's just an ambassador, and you shouldn't marry him because he's an ambassador. And also his name's Fanfaronade. So she literally says, what an unhappy creature I am, she cried, to be shut up in this dismal tower as if I had committed some crime. I have never seen the sun or the stars, or a horse, or a monkey, or a lion, except in pictures, and though the king and queen tell me I am to be set free when I am 20, in 4 days, I believe they only say it to keep me amused, when they never mean to let me out at all. The princess, saying this, basically gets out of the tower because all of her nursemaids are super sad for her. And also are like, well, it's only going to be 4 days until she's 20. How harm can it really do? So, of course, when she gets out of the tower, she meets the Ambassador Fanfaronade. She runs into the Ambassador, and I quote, "At the sight of him, the princess lost her wits entirely." You know, I feel that. So she's like, "Dude, I want to marry you." And he's like, "What? Me? The Ambassador? I ain't a king. I ain't a prince. Let's do it." They do this whole plot line. It's really long, actually, so I'm cutting it out because it's super long. Basically, they're trying to get the king and queen to bless this union, and they're like, "No, you ain't a king. We have our ship firmly on King Merlin. This is our OTP. You are our no-TP. Done." After the banquet came a ball, and after that, again, a ballet. And at last they were all so tired, and everyone fell asleep just where they sat. Only the lovers were wide awake as mice. And the princess, seeing that there was nothing to fear, said to Fanfaronade, "Let us be quick and run away, for we shall never have a better chance than this." Of course, they're running away, and they're like, "Where are we going to go? Because where are we running away to? Okay?" And Fanfaronade is like, "Well, we can't go back to King Merlin's court because he's going to kill me for marrying you, a.k.a. his sweetheart, a.k.a. my boss's girl." And she's like, "Well, I can't go back to my tower. I'm finally free." Dude. I have an idea. And it's the best idea, and it's also my favorite part of this fairy tale. We're going to escape to Squirrel Island. That's what it says. And we are going to live there and live happily ever after. It's a deserted island. Squirrel Island. Let's go. So they escape. And so they go to the island. And the king and queen are like, "Oh, hey, where's my dagger?" And the queen's like, "Hey, I guess you took my neckerchief." And so they waste a bunch of time trying to look for the dagger and the neckerchief, and then they realize, oh crap, the princess is missing, and so we have to go get her too. Mayblossom and Fanfaronade have reached Squirrel Island. They're hanging out. Princess Mayblossom's like, "I am so tired. I am so exhausted. I'm going to sleep here." And Fanfaronade is like, "Girl, I'm hungry, and you ain't pretty enough to make me not be hungry. So, what's there to eat? Isn't my love for you enough?" And he's like, "No." "Happy? Say rather unhappy. I wish with all my heart that you were back in your dark tower again." The honeymoon phase is over. It's over. So they basically have this huge fight where he's like, "I'm hungry. You ain't pretty." She's like, "I love you." He's like, "That's not enough. Da 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 da." And it ends with him saying, "I wish a wolf would eat you." Dude, who would have thought this ambassador wasn't a catch? So they basically have these whole fights for like, as they're stuck on the island, basically cementing that Fanfaronade is not the one for her. And finally the princess is like, "I must get this hot dude to love me." And she's crying and crying and crying. "Happy roses, they never have felt abandoned like me. Nobody is kind to now." One of the roses, as she's crying about this, goes, "Hey, you can find honey in that tree." And she's like, "Honey? In the tree?" So she gets the honey, and she gives it immediately to Fanfaronade. And he's like, "Nom nom 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 nom. All you got me was honey? Honey?" She goes and she cries under an oak tree, and the oak tree is like, "Here is water." And she's like, "Oh, here, honey, have some water." And he's like, "This all the water you got? I wanted soda." Couple other things like happen where he eats all the food, and she's like, "I am starving, but I love you most." So the king and queen finally find Squirrel Island. It took them a really long time to find Squirrel Island in the story. The king and queen find the island, and they're like, "Okay, here's the island." And Princess Mayblossom sees them coming on their ship, and she's like, "Oh crap, my parents have found us with my boyfriend. Oh snap, oh no, ah, ah." So she cries under another oak tree or whatever, and the fairy that blessed her originally to be happy despite being unlucky is like, "Oh girl, it's almost your birthday," and also like it's been 3 days. Like she's still unlucky. And the fairy's like, "I hear you. I hear that you love this dude more than anything else in the world. I've never met him, but I guess he's great. Obviously, Mayblossom did not tell the fairy that he's been eating all her food incomplete and telling her to get eaten by a wolf and go back to your tower, girl. The fairy is like, here's this invisibility cloak. So you can hide when your parents come see you, so they won't see these two people on this deserted island and all these squirrels. So my camera went out and I did not know, and I didn't get to finish the story, so we're gonna finish it now. She goes to Fanfrenaide and is like, hey honey, let's huddle under this together. They won't see us from the shore. It'll be great. Like, honestly, the only thing on this island is squirrels and flowers and a tree. Like, it's pretty obvious they're there. And Fanfrenaide steals the cloak because he's a jerk. We've established this. And he goes off and hides, and Mayblossom, like, falls into a heap as her parents come in and are like, oh no, honey. And she's like, Fanfrenaide just stole the invisibility cloak. And they're like, oh, we hate his guts. So they sick the dogs on him. And the dogs chase him and chase him and chase him off a cliff. And so Fanfrenaide dies. Like every Disney villain ever. They get back to the kingdom. It's been the 4 days. And Mayblossom turns 20 and is cured of being unlucky. And suddenly, she is super smart and savvy and goes, I wasn't really in love with him anyway. He was a dork. And King Merlin, just as a side note, I've been messing up this whole time because I was looking over it, and it actually is King Merlin's son who wants to marry her. But since I've been talking about King Merlin this whole time, we're just going to leave it at this. This is my retelling. Deal with it. So King Merlin shows up and is like, I've been looking for my ambassador. He went missing. He hasn't been replying to my texts. What's going on? And he sees Mayblossom and he's like, ooh, you are actually really pretty. And she sees him and she's like, you're actually way hotter than Fanfrenaide. And so they fall madly in love and get married and live happily ever after. The end. I really like this story in many ways, and this is allow me to talk about fairy tales for a moment and how great they are. So Princess Mayblossom is just a really, really old, weird fairy tale, which has a lot of like your stereotypical things. Like there's the Sleeping Beauty stuff, there's the fairies, you have the tower, but it's all put together in a way that most people don't think of, and it's almost like one of those fairy tales that are like, it's a twisted fairy tale, oh look how silly it is, it's a parody. It's not a parody, this is an actual fairy tale. That's why I love it. And also there's an island of squirrels, which is just great, you know? Like every fairy tale needs an island of squirrels. If there's a fairy tale you want me to retell, tell me in the comments, or don't. Or tell me what your favorite part of the Princess Mayblossom is, because my favorite is when they get to Squirrel Island and they don't talk to a single squirrel. Let's talk to the flower and the tree, but not the squirrels. They aren't helpful at all. Okay, that's it. Have a great afternoon. Bye. The good fairy who blessed her with being happy, you know, that smart person, comes and is like, oh, Mayblossom, my dear, dear Mayblossom kid, I see you are in a pickle. Are you ready for the rest of the story? Because this is a very long story. Make sure this portrait lines up because you know he doesn't want to be catfished. I'm going to just mess up his name every time I say it. Sorry. I'm sure someone else in the world has that name now and is going to be completely insulted that I can't pronounce Fanfrenaide. So the king and queen are like, the king's like, I need my dagger because that way I can have my dagger because it's in a diamond scabbard thing. And the queen's like, I need my neckerchief because I need to look pretty while we're hunting down our daughter. They kind of stick out like a sore thumb, you hear me? Invisibility cloak, mine. So he steals the invisibility cloak,